endorsement obviously has been helpful with stuff like that, where I've had the question, is any of this going to come to reality? And that's a great example. Like, I would love this to happen. So he unfortunately had a meeting with the architects for the squash building this morning, but he actually specifically asked if we could record these so that he can have more information. We shared with him the full list of ideas, which he read through. So yeah, the 98 ideas, and we told him to get on it. So next group. We have water.
What else is new?
We're going to start with a video for you to watch. So if you go to the next slide, Kurt, hopefully click on that.
Yep, I think I just got to do something before we do that. Turn my tunes off.
I don't think it enlarges, but just listen carefully, it's more important.
Okay.
So this is Dupe. Our signature product is Fresh Air. We have 4 different sizes of Fresh Air. It's pure organic. I don't even bother with this air anymore. It's pointless. You're selling Fresh Air packaged. So this is boxed sunshine. Now close your eyes.
What do you mean bottled moonlight?
That one's empty. This is good vibrations. Oh, you're holding it wrong. The Beach Boys tend to give off the best vibrations. Hop. Yeah, quick, move. And breathe.
Hang on, I'll ring you back. Some guy's trying to sell me air.
You can smell the difference, right?
No.
The more I have of this, the better I am as a Duco.
You get all these things just with normal life.
Well, you can, but I've put a lot of work into putting these things into like packets.
I'm not paying $150 for that.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen.
No.
So why is it ridiculous?
Because I could just go outside and breathe the air.
Yeah, I suppose. It's kind of like buying bottled water.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
And that's our lead-in. For years at Fessenden, we wanted to do what we can to reduce the carbon footprint, and I have spent time over the years during large events when everything's over, picking the plastic garbage out of the garbage can and trying to recycle it. So what we want to do is not get away from one-time use water bottles, because most of it ends up in either incinerators or landfills. So, now? Well, I'm giving you the problem first, and then we'll add to that. So Fezzi uses all these water bottles at development events, field day, graduation, so we wanted to see what we could do to mitigate the use of water bottles here. If you drink, if you do the recommended 8 ounces a day of 8 ounce, and you use tap water, it's 49 cents a year. If you do the same 8 ounces times 8 in bottled water, it's $1,400 a year. So there's a fairly significant difference.
Tap water is generally safer than bottled water, and it is subject to hundreds of tests per month, so many per day by the EPA. Bottled water, on the other hand, is regulated by the FDA and is tested once per week.
Did you know that 20 to 25% of our plastic in the United States is recycled? Only 20 to 25%.
Also, did you know that some people spend 10,000 times as much for bottled water as they do for tap water?
And did you know it takes 17 million barrels of oil annually to go into making America's water bottles?
Process. All right, awesome. and there's a link there to the budget. But so we wanted to change the culture of the school from single-use plastic water bottles to more larger containers, refillable stations, and pitchers. This is twofold because we need to educate the children, but at the same time we need to model as adults, and as so we have to educate everybody, the whole community. So we had a process of going to all of these different people with Mike Grossman and Sarah and Sally and Leanne, all the divisions and all the key, I guess you call them stakeholders, development, admissions, all the people who we noticed who in the kitchen who use a lot of these water bottles and wanted to check to see, is it possible to change over? Do you have to have these little water bottles when you're doing admissions events? Do you have to have water bottles when you're doing the development events, or when you're doing picnics, or when you're doing field trips, or father-son events? So we spoke to all these different people to find out, is this possible to do? And overwhelmingly, all the information we got back was that yes, we only do it because this is what's provided for us. We do it, and it didn't seem like it was really a decision that people were consciously making. Yeah, we really need water bottles. Like, no, of course we can use pitchers instead. And the same was actually true when we spoke to Ken Miller, who does actually all the ordering of all these water bottles. So that was very, very encouraging to all of us when we found that out, and we think it really is a culture change that we can actually make. And so we went through a process also of coming up with a budget, but then we found out, of filling stations, of water bottles we were thinking about purchasing and giving out to different kids. To all the kids in the beginning of the year as kind of a kickoff to our education program. Having teachers, hopefully, maybe I'm taking somebody else's presentation, sorry, I'll stop. But anyways, we got rid of some of that because we found out that we really had to think about kind of a zero budget to do this, so we're just going with the culture change and pushing from that direction.
Part of the problem, when kids have refillable, when any of us have refillable bottles, there's no place to fill them because the sinks aren't deep enough. So there are going to be water stations. Mike has already put 2 down in the health center because he felt that was the highest visibility. And they go between $3,000 and $5,000 a piece, mainly because you have to repipe it with, so you have to call in a plumber and that sort of thing. I think there are 13 water stations on campus, and he has worked that into the budget. There is the higher initial outlay of cash, but he feels maintaining the environment is actually worth the cost. So he has worked that into the miscellaneous budget per year.
Just to back up one sec, we started out with tons of huge problems, starting with waste and food and all kinds of things, and narrowed down very quickly to this water bottle issue because it is so drastically impactful on the earth. And I think Jamie said that Mike has agreed to put in 2 water bottle filling stations in the health center. It's in the athletic center.
They're in the athletic right now.
This summer, right, they're going, because those machines need to be replaced anyway. They're at a cost of $3,000 to $5,000 per machine, so it may have to be done over time, and we're hoping that we can get the whole community on board in such a way that, if your kids need to fill their water bottles and they have to walk all the way to the middle school from upper school or lower school, they are allowed to do that. It depends on where the first machine goes in the academic building as well. We put a question mark. I think pretty much everything's been described up there. There's a picture of the bottle filling station at the top that one of our students here, Henry Wild, made this proposal earlier this year. So this is sort of student generated to begin with, which is really exciting for us. And we were able from his mom to get his presentation, and a lot of our research was already taken care of in there. It was really pretty impressive. But the question mark with the distributed stainless steel reusable water bottles, we thought this would be a great way to kick off our whole culture change, was to have a celebration where everyone got a bottle. And we have since started to rethink that.
Maybe you could do it at the Fezzy Book launch party?
Well, we're thinking we're not going to do it. So
We're not gonna do it.
the two reasons behind that are, number one, we really don't want everyone to have exactly the same bottle, which we think is going to be a nightmare. And number two, actually there are 3 reasons. Number 2 is, will the kids actually take care of a bottle that's not really theirs, that they don't care so much about, that was given to them? And but most importantly, number 3, Ken said this morning to Liz, I should let her explain, that it's going to become a health issue if these kids don't take care of them and wash them out, and it's a school-provided bottle. So if they bring it home from home and they have to bring it home to clean it, we're not responsible for the germs and the bacteria that's growing in there, they can't blame us for that. We've shared some statistics. We put some others up here if you want to just take a quick minute to read through some. These were pretty staggering to most of us.
We will share all of the slideshows
Great.
with everyone so that.
Okay, so there are 2 pages of statistics that we added in.
And then you're going to go over the education.
Yeah, we're almost done, we're almost done. Can you just go to the resources for the classroom? One more? Here. There you go. There are other resources, but these are particular ones that we could actually use in the classroom right now. Like, not today. When we return. And so these are things that we had talked about using and also kicking off in the different divisions to help really instill the beginning of the education process, not just for the grown-ups, but also for the various ages of children. That's pretty practical and pretty easy to start.
And lastly, our next steps. There is a line item on the food request for each event about bottled water, so we just take that off. And instead of the bottled water, there are these large water canisters like the coffee and tea ones. The school already owns them. The school uses them a lot already. They would just continue to use them more frequently. Pitchers could go to some of the other areas, pitchers of water, or maybe smaller water dispenser, if you will. But if we just get that off there, then Ken only needs to know how many people the event is, how many they expect for the event, and he can figure out the water accordingly. Educating community, school-wide, some kickoff events using assembly time or X-block time, guest speakers, getting the kids involved in some mathematics or other classroom-based water use where they're paying attention to what they're doing, how they use water, how much they buy, how much they're throwing out, things like that. And then the filling stations that we talked about. And you're on mugs in faculty room, yes. So Ken Miller said, if you're going to get the faculty involved, let's start with our own practices of not using paper cups in the faculty room, but having our own mugs and using the ceramic washable mugs that are already available to us.
What's a Canberra?
Canberras are the big water containers with the handles on the top. I thought one of the funniest things, most informative things that came out of this process was that we learned that Ken was saying people always check, they want water bottles. So that's why we do it. We would rather not do it, but that's what people ask for their meetings. And people who we asked about the meetings, the admissions and development, everybody said, we don't want water bottles, but that's what's on the list. So problem solved, right? Thanks.